everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. This is our third season of doing Hot Takes, and this is episode 2. But today I am joined by Saul for the first time this season. Saul, how you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Happy to be back. Looking forward to resuming my my usual torture regime on these recordings with you, TJ. Looking forward to another fantastic season of getting screwed out of my rightful victories as the best purveyor of hot takes.
Well, Derek did a pretty good job. He didn't win in your stead for week
Wow,
number
I'm
1.
shocked. I'm shocked, TJ. Actually stunned that he didn't win. Insane.
He got really close. Okay. I will say that. And he brought up some great points. It was a nice long episode for episode 1. We even had a bonus take. So it was quite fun. But now it's time to get down to business, Soddle. Back in the saddle. So we're going to start off with hot take number 1. Hot take number 1. Ping Mage will become the best mage archetype.
All right, Ping Mage will not be the best mage archetype. I think Wama did something very sensible. I think his deck was rewarded him for some good decisions and some good targeting, and I think it improved his matchups against a couple of specific things that he was looking for, and I think it was a smart bring. I think he played it very well. But I think the deck has so many inherent problems that can't be overcome with just, losing so many of the power cards. You're still playing like 24 spells in your deck for no reason because you have no spell payoff cards anymore. Your Refreshing Spring Water just doesn't work reliably, which is a huge problem. 2-mana draw 2 is still good, but when you can't plan your turns reliably because you don't know how much mana you're going to refresh, that becomes a huge problem. And that's not a problem we saw Wama encounter once, I believe, during the weekend. I think the deck is still, a long way away from just being a deck that you can jam on ladder. And there is a big difference between a deck that is just the best deck in the game, universally jam it on ladder, get rank 1 legend, and a deck that can be used as a targeted strategy as part of a tournament lineup. And I think that's what Ping Mage was this week, and I commend Wama for it. I'm very happy for him. It's a deserved victory, but I don't think the archetype is going anywhere, at least in this expansion.
Well, this one's going to be tough because I don't think Ping Mage is very good. I'm pretty sure it sucks. And I think that Warma only had success with it because players had a day to submit lineups, so nothing was refined.
Yeah.
But let me go ahead and take a look here in my Hot Takes tool bag. Yes. My favorite tool, Semantics. Ping Mage will become the best mage archetype. That is the hot take. It doesn't say when. It doesn't say for Grandmasters. It doesn't even say for tournaments. Blizzard has shown that when they try and force an archetype, eventually they will try and force that archetype a lot. I think over time, Blizzard will release more and more tools for Ping Mage. And I think that eventually, Ping Mage will become the best mage archetype, even if it's only for a short period of time. So I think this is an easy one, Soddle. I can't believe you didn't get this one right. Because at some point in time, from now until, however long Hearthstone lasts, Ping Mage will become the best mage archetype. And that's just a fact.
Yeah. We've encountered troubles already. I think over time, our backroom staff here on Hot Takes, people who come up with the takes, learned some of TJ's tricks and learned to word things very, very specifically, so we had to argue in good faith. But we've kind of reset from scratch this season, and clearly the people coming up with these takes are not used to playing around TJ. So yes, fair enough, semantics is allowed on this show, so I guess I have to give you this one.
Yeah, we don't have, we're going to the peanut gallery for hot takes, and they just don't get me.
They don't.
1-0 TJ.
Yeah.
All right, hot take number 2. Green Rag, Illidari Inquisitor, is overrated, and people should just stick to OTK Demon Hunter.
All right, TJ. We're going to have to lay some ground rules here in advance. I see where this episode is going. So let's deal with some semantics off the bat before we even get started. Are we referring to Green Rag the card, or Green Rag the deck, as in mid-range Demon Hunter? What is the topic of this hot take?
I'll make it easy for you. You can choose which one we're talking about, and I will abide by your decision.
Okay.
With my
we are talking. We are talking about mid-range Demon Hunter, the deck that plays 2 of the card at the top end. Okay?
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
All right. I don't think I've actually helped myself that much by picking that option, because the question is still worded in kind of an ambiguous way. Is it overrated is the question. To which I would say no, because, not that many people brought it. A few did, if you brought a weird hybrid version that had, both Il'gynoth and the Illidari Inquisitors in there. But, just because of where the question goes, people should just stick to OTK Demon Hunter. I have to disagree with this, because in order to stick to OTK Demon Hunter, you have to be able to play OTK Demon Hunter. It's not just a deck that you can just jam in your lineup and expect to win with. It's a deck that if you cannot play well, if you are not frozen, you are going to run at 35-40% win rate with this deck a lot of the time. It's only if you've put in those hundreds and thousands of games of reps that Frozen has that you can really get the most out of OTK Demon Hunter. So, because the question specifically says people should just stick to OTK Demon Hunter, I have to come down in the negative, because I do not think that is good advice to give to people. More so just, leave Demon Hunter out of your lineup entirely, and if you don't want to play mid-range would be a better way to phrase this. But no, do not just stick Demon Hunter in your lineup if you can't play it, because that leads to some of the Patron Warrior disasters that we saw many, many years ago when people did not have a clue how to play that deck either.
So while I do agree that OTK Demon Hunter is a difficult deck, and there's a lot of players that aren't playing it super optimally, even in top 4s, top 8s of Grandmasters in the past few weeks, I will say that the Green Rag Illidari Inquisitor was lackluster, right?
Yeah.
I felt like every time I was watching matches where a player had the mid-range Demon Hunter, insert any other aggressive type deck into that slot, and they win way more, right? Take Eddie, for example, in Americas. That deck was a huge liability for him. He was sneaking out wins in series, made to the finals. But if he just had Secret Paladin instead, or some type of aggressive Paladin, he wins this week easily, I think. I do think it's way too slow. Sure, it's a lot of burst, way too slow. And on the OTK Demon Hunter part of the take, in the current iteration of OTK Demon Hunter, yes, it's a difficult deck, but you have a lot of forgiveness, a lot more forgiveness than you did in the past because of redundancy of combo pieces. With the addition of Talented Arcanist, the balancing act that we had in previous versions of the deck, pre-expansion, pre-rotation, of do I expend my lifesteal cards, do I expend my combo pieces now to try and survive, or do I need to save them to try and win the game? It feels like now you can fling your cards out as much as you want and still piece together lethals later on the game. Tincho won with OTK Demon Hunter for Americas in his lineup, and not to trash talk him or anything.
Before I allow you from going into minute 3 of this rebuttal, allow me to just ask you one question. Did you or did you not confess on broadcast last night that you hadn't played a single game of OTK Demon Hunter and have learned how to cast it from watching people play it?
I mean, that was a joke. I played probably 30 games of OTK Demon Hunter.
Okay,
it was part of my I climbed from 500 to 150 with it. I was specifically talking about how learning to play at a super high level by watching Frozen, right? Because that he has taught me a lot, and I learn something every time I watch him. But not to trash talk Tincho or anything, because I do think he's good at the deck, but he's not great at the deck. There was a lot of spots where if he fell behind, he just kind of fell apart, and that was apparent. Even though he won, that was apparent in a lot of his matches leading up to the finals. He ended up playing a lot more games in OTK Demon Hunter. There's a lot of decks than his other decks, because he was winning with his other decks 1-0 quick wins, and then having 2 or 3 chances to win with OTK Demon Hunter and squeaking them out, right? So I do think there's a lot more forgiveness than there once was, and it is just overall one of the strongest decks in that game. It's the highest win rate deck in Grandmasters over the first 2 weeks. I'm gonna have to say that Illidari Inquisitor is overrated, and that I would choose OTK Demon Hunter. Maybe not as much as players should always just stick to OTK Demon Hunter. I do think that right now I would prefer it over mid-range.
Okay, so since we've established that this episode is one of semantics, and you think that people shouldn't just stick to OTK Demon Hunter, then I have won that hot take, have I not?
Sure, but I get half a point for trying.
You get half a point for your 5-minute rant in our 60-second limit. Yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah. You know how they always say quality over quantity? Well,
yeah,
I had
of course.
I had both quality and quantity.
Right.
In that hot take. So even though you may have pulled the semantics card on me, I award myself half a point. So it is now 1.5 to 1 in the total score for our week number 2 hot take here, and it looks like this one's going to be decided by hot take number 3. The strongest overall play in the first 2 weeks of 2021 Grandmasters has come from the Americas region. Whoa ho ho!
Can I surprise you, TJ?
Yes,
I
please.
actually agree with that statement. I think that's true. I have got to watch just about every minute of America's Grandmasters so far this season. I usually watch a great deal of it, but I think, because we've been finishing a little bit earlier in Europe, I've had more time to watch, and I've really, really enjoyed it. And I think, we rightly, don't get me wrong, absolutely 100% correctly meme on the Americas region a lot for, the standard of play that we see from it sometimes, and from how easy it is to qualify to be an America's Grandmaster in that region. However, when you boil it down to the top players in the region, and when you're watching Eddie against Monsanto, Luna against No Hands Gamer, when you're looking at some of these absolute top players in the region, the standard of play is absolutely up there in general. And I think specifically when you look at these first 2 weeks, the cleanest play has come from some of those matches I just mentioned. I think, was it Muzzy versus Eddie? I think was just an absolute clinic of Hearthstone, super clean matchup from both sides. And then I look at the comparison points in Europe, and normally we'd be looking at players like Yala. I think Yala's actually made a couple of really crucial mistakes, very un-Yala-like mistakes during the season this time around. So, while we've seen some spectacular play in Europe, I think the level of just absolutely solid stuff that we've come to expect from Europe has been more emblematic of the Americas region this time around. So yeah, I'm saying yes, it has been.
Well, I'm going to do something unprecedented in the history of hot takes, and I'm just going to concede this one and not offer a rebuttal.
Yes.
Which it does award you a point, and while you do have more points than me in this episode, it is 2 to 1.5.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when Sottle is freely admitting that Americas is the best region, who's the real winner there? And I will have to say that it's the Americas region, and by proxy, myself. So even though you have received more points in this episode of Hot Takes, I'm the real winner.
Truth is the winner, TJ. Well, Truth and me, because I have more points, and that's the point of the show. So far, Hot Takes, season whatever this is, 100% win rate for Sottle. That's what we're taking away from this episode. I love to see it.
Well, I guess the end of this episode is under protest, because I never thought I would hear the words ring so beautifully from your mouth that Americas is the best region of Grandmasters. And, Sottle, I wholeheartedly agree. So, we'll just call this one a toss-up. I'll feel like I won. You can feel like you won. Maybe we'll let the audience decide at the end of the day, which is also something unprecedented in Hot Takes. But I think we can wrap this episode now, because I want to go out on this high note. So, it was your first week back. You were a little shaky, Sottle, I will have to say. So I'd like to see you step it up for the future weeks, because I honestly expected more.
Jeez, the shade. You get to hang out with Derek Brown for a few minutes, and suddenly it becomes very clear who TJ's favorite is all over again. Jeez. I just have to crawl my way back up from the bottom yet again. Here we go. All right.
All right. Well, that does it for episode 2 of Hot Takes. If you want to check out episode 1 from last week, or even some of the other content that we're putting out for Hearthstone Grandmasters, you can head over to youtube.com/Hearthstone Esports. Also, if you want to check out more information about Grandmasters or the upcoming Masters tours, you can head over to playhearthstone.com/esports. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. More Hot Takes.